verse number 8. Kardama Muni continued, what is the use of enjoyments other than the Lord's grace? All material achievements are subject to be annihilated simply by a movement of the eyebrows, Lord Vishnu, Supreme Personality of Godhead. By your principles of devotion to your husband, you have achieved and can enjoy transcendental gifts very rarely obtained by persons proud of aristocracy and material possession. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Lord Chaitanya recommended that the greatest achievement of human life is to achieve the grace of the Lord, love of God. He said, Prema Pumartha Mahan, to achieve love of Godhead is the highest perfection of life. The same perfection is recommended by Kardama Muni to his wife. His wife belonged to a very aristocratic royal family. Generally, those who are very materialistic or who possess material wealth and prosperity are unable to appreciate the value of transcendental love of God. Although Devahuti was a princess coming from a very great royal family, fortunately, she was under the supervision of her great husband, Kardama Muni, who offered her the best gift which can be bestowed in human life, the grace of the Lord, or love of God. This grace of the Lord was achieved by Devahuti by the goodwill and satisfaction of her husband. She served her husband, who was a great devotee and saintly person, with great sincerity, love, affection, and service. And Kardama Muni was satisfied. He willingly gave love of God, and he recommended that she accept it and enjoy it because he had already achieved it. Love of God is not an ordinary commodity. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was worshipped by Rupa Goswami because he distributed love of God, Krishna Prema, to everyone. Rupa Goswami praised him as Mahavadanyaya, a greatly magnificent personality, because he was freely distributing to everyone love of God, which is achieved by wise men only after many, many births. Krishna Prema, Krishna consciousness, is the highest gift which can be bestowed on anyone whom we presume to love. One word used in this case, one word used in this verse, Nija Dharma Dohan, is very significant. Devahuti, as the wife of Kardama Muni, achieved an invaluable gift from her husband because she was very faithful to him. For a woman, the first principle of religion is to be faithful to her husband. If, fortunately, the husband is a great personality, then the combination is perfect, and the lives of both the wife and the husband are at once fulfilled. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Let me just read this verse one more time. Kardama Muni continued, what is the use of enjoyments other than the Lord's grace? All material achievements are subject to be annihilated simply by a movement of the eyebrows of Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By your principles of devotion to your husband, you have achieved and can enjoy transcendental gifts very rarely obtained by persons proud of aristocracy and material possession. Okay, so this is more information of the glories of pure devotional service and love for Lord Krishna, which is obviously mentioned here as the supreme achievement a devotee can obtain by performing devotional service. In other words, one can perfunctorily engage in acts of Krishna consciousness. But even though they are performing such regulated activities, if they don't achieve love of God, they haven't really achieved the real purpose of Krishna consciousness. That's why Prabhupada writes, love of God is not an ordinary commodity. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was worshipped by Rupa Goswami because he distributed love of God, Krishna Prema, to everyone. Rupa Goswami praised him as Mahavadanya, a greatly munificent person. Munificent meaning greatly, what you would say, a person who is lavishing others with mercy, because he was freely distributing to everyone love of God, which is achieved by wise men only after many, many births. Krishna Prema, Krishna consciousness, is the highest gift which can be bestowed on anyone whom we presume to love. Okay, so some people, they become wealthy, and then they think that by uh, using their wealth, they can control other people. But here, there's no question of uh, material goals to attain, such as, controlling people by being very wealthy. What's being said here is that there is such thing as unalloyed devotional service and love. And one example of that is Devahuti. And it says that she served her husband, who was a great devotee uh, and saintly person, with great sincerity, love, affection, and service. And Kardamuni was satisfied. He willingly gave love of God, and he recommended that she accept it and enjoy it because he had already achieved it. Well, this is a good husband. He wants to share his achievements with his wife. He doesn't want to ignore his wife, who is also serving him with love and devotion. Now, this is a very interesting point. It says, love of God is not an ordinary commodity. In other words, it's rare. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was worshipped by Rupa Goswami because he distributed love of God, Krishna Prema, to everyone. Rupa Goswami praised him as Mahavadanya, a greatly munificent personality. Munificent means very merciful, and one who offers precious things to others. Because he was freely distributing to everyone love of Godhead, which is achieved by wise men only after many, many births. This is what is unique about Lord Chaitanya. He wasn't only distributing spiritual knowledge, he was also distributing genuine love for Krishna. That means it is possible that people can be perfunctorily, or let's say, uh, reciting Hare Krishna like a machine, but maybe not with love. Therefore, uh, what Lord Chaitanya manifests is love of God. And as it says here, this is not an ordinary commodity. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was worshipped by Rupa Goswami because he distributed love of God, Krishna Prema, to everyone. Rupa Goswami praised him as Mahavadanya, a greatly munificent personality, munificent, meaning very merciful, because he was freely distributing in everyone the love of God, which is achieved by wise men only after many, many births. Krishna Prema, Krishna consciousness, is the highest gift which can be bestowed on anyone whom we presume to love. One word used in this verse, Nija Dharma Dohan, is very significant. Devahuti, as the wife of Kardama Muni, achieved an invaluable gift from her husband because she was very faithful to him. For a woman, the first principle of religion is to be faithful to her husband. If, fortunately, the husband is a great personality, then the combination is perfect, and the lives of both the wife and the husband are at once fulfilled. Well, here's the what you would call um, the ideal relationship between husband and wife. That is, they respect each other and they both engaged in unalloyed devotional service for Krishna. In other words, their relationship is not based on sense gratification. Their relationship is based on love for Krishna. So wife loves Krishna and husband loves Krishna. That means they cooperate to help each other love Krishna. They have the same goal, and that's very important to have the same goal in life. That means that there is compatibility. A lot of times, husband and wife, even though they're married, they don't get along with each other. Why? Because the husband might have one, let's say, pet thing that he likes to do, and the wife has some other preoccupations. So they don't have anything in common. But if they have in common devotional service for Krishna, then they get along. Why? Because they both have the same goal, to please Lord Krishna. So as long as one has material desires and the other has desires to please Krishna, they're not going to get along very well. And that is, a tragedy because they're married, but they're not really married. Real marriage is when both wife and husband work to please Krishna. That means they're married. They're working together for the same goal. But if one has a different goal and the other has another goal, then there's not going to be any compatibility. When you both have the same desire to please Krishna and work for that, then if one pleases Krishna, then the other is happy. Or if the other pleases Krishna, the first one is happy because they both have the same goal. Then you have a compatible marriage. It's not that when one uh, person wants something else and another person wants something else, then it's not going to be compatible. You both have to have the same, let's say, ultimate goal in life. Okay, so it says here that although Devahuti was a princess coming from a very great royal family, fortunately she was under the supervision of her great husband, Kardama Muni, who offered her the best gift which can be bestowed in human life, the grace of the Lord or love of God. This grace of the Lord was achieved by Devahuti by the goodwill and satisfaction of her husband. She served her husband, who was a great devotee and saintly person, with great sincerity, love, affection, and service. And Kardama Muni was satisfied. He willingly gave love of God, and he recommended that she accept it and enjoy it because he had already achieved it. Well, this is what you call an ideal marriage. It's not based on sense gratification. is based on giving or sharing love of Krishna. And uh, then a wife will have real respect for her husband because the husband is giving her the ultimate gift or blessing. And the husband is very happy because his wife is reciprocating and giving him the most precious gift, which is devotional service and love for Krishna. So that the idea that both have the same goal in life, please Krishna. So if one pleases Krishna, the other is happy. And if the other pleases Krishna, the first one is happy. That type of, uh, well, it's basically having the same goal in life. When two people have different goals in life, there's not much compatibility. But when they both have the same goal in life and they work together to achieve that same goal in life, then they're both happy. And if one achieves the love of Krishna, the other is happy. And if the other achieves love of Krishna, the first is happy. So uh, it's important in order to have a happy marriage that both husband and wife have the same goal in life. And it says here, Rupa Goswami, let's see, love of God is not an ordinary commodity. We can all agree to that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was worshipped by Rupa Goswami because he, meaning Lord Chaitanya, distributed love of God, Krishna Prema, to everyone. Rupa Goswami praised him as Mahavadanya, a greatly munificent, meaning merciful personality, because he was freely distributing to everyone love of God, which is achieved by wise men only after many, many births. Krishna Prema, Krishna consciousness, is the highest gift which can be bestowed on anyone whom we presume to love. Okay, so now we know that the most important thing, especially in a marriage, is that the husband can offer the wife love of God, and the wife can support her husband because she's getting something that is very rare. It's not that she's getting a lot of money or she's getting a lot of sense gratification. She's getting the most important thing in life, which is the love of God. So that's what we should look for in life. That's the most precious gift we can give someone. First of all, we have to achieve the love of God through regulated devotional service. The word regulated is important. That means you actually love Krishna because you're regularly serving him, chanting Hare Krishna and engaging in all kinds of devotional service for Krishna. And people have different, let's say, preoccupations because one person may be very much attracted and engaged in worshiping the deity. Another person may be very involved in chanting nice bhajans for the glorification of the deity. Another person might be a very good preacher and is always preaching to others to become Krishna conscious. So there are different things that people finally decide are their thing uh, for serving Krishna. And Krishna can be served in many, many different ways. It's not just one way, but there's only one purpose, that is to please the Lord. And by following the instructions of bona fide spiritual master. Okay, so she served her husband, who was a great devotee and saintly person, with great sincerity, love, affection, and service. And Kardama Muni was satisfied. He willingly gave love of God, and he recommended that she accept it and enjoy it because he had already achieved it. Now, this is the hallmark of a successful marriage. Successful marriage is not based on sense gratification. It's based on mutually uh, having love of God. And that's the best, let's say, gift a husband can give wife, and or vice versa, that a wife can give a husband. So she served her husband, who was a great devotee and saintly person, with great sincerity, love, affection, and service. And Kardama Muni was satisfied. Okay, when it says he was satisfied, he was not satisfied by sex. He was not satisfied by money. He was satisfied by love, affection, with great sincerity, love, affection, and service. And Kardama Muni was satisfied. So, if you want to please someone, this is the formula that you manifest your love for that person with great sincerity, love, affection, and service. Then that person will be very satisfied. Uh, he willingly gave love of God, and he recommended that she accept it and enjoy it because he had already achieved it. This is a rare thing, so it's not something that one can have, let's say, overnight. It's an achievement of a long period of dedicated devotional service. Now, that can happen very quickly, or it can take a long time uh, to actually, uh, achieve pure love and devotion for Krishna, and then willingly give love of Krishna to not only your wife or your husband, but to everyone. Now, the uh, the love of God becomes the ultimate goal of life. The ultimate goal of life is not making a lot of money, and it's not being highly, let's say, a famous person or someone who is, uh, let's say, very powerful and has high positions in the society. The person that is most appreciated is the one who is sharing love of God with others, or love of Krishna. So, with great sincerity, love, affection, and service, uh, Devahuti served her husband, and she was a great devotee and a saintly person. Okay, so these are the qualifications that Prabhupada was teaching. He was not just teaching deity worship. He was not just teaching going on Sankirtan. All of this was aimed at helping his devotees develop love of God. And that's why it says love of God is not an ordinary commodity. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was worshipped by Rupa Goswami because he distributed love of God, Krishna Prema, to everyone. Rupa goes, well, you can't distribute love of God unless you have it. And how do you get love of God? Well, it's by regulated devotional service, and eventually your heart becomes very soft and completely dedicated to pleasing Krishna. That's how you actually accept love of God. When you have no other purpose in life than pleasing Guru and Krishna, uh, then you become very soft-hearted, very respectful, very humble, and very regulated in spiritual life and satisfied with whatever situation you have. You might be married, you might not be married, you might have kids, you might not have, uh, but you have something that's ultimately the real goal of life, and that is love for Krishna. And people can see it. People can understand that you actually do. Okay, so that's why Prabhupada says love of God is not an ordinary commodity. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was worshipped by Rupa Goswami because he distributed love of God, Krishna Prema, to everyone. Rupa Goswami praised him as Mahavadanya, a greatly munificent, meaning greatly merciful personality, because he was freely distributing to everyone love of God, which is achieved by wise men only after many, many births. Krishna Prema, Krishna, Krishna, uh, Krishna consciousness is the highest gift which once can be bestowed on anyone whom we presume to love. These are like, monumental statements with very, very magnificent and holy advice. And this is what we're getting in Prabhupada's purports, the right advice on how to have uh, a successful life that leads to love of Krishna, which is the ultimate goal. Prema Paramartha Mahan is the goal of life, pure love for Krishna, or Krishna Prema. And it's achieved by wise men only after many, many births. However, uh, and it's also the highest gift which can be bestowed on anyone whom we presume to love. Well, Prabhupada was distributing this love of Krishna very easily to his devotees and to anyone. So, therefore, uh, if this, and this is also the, let's say, the panacea for any marriage. Panacea means, a medicine that heals all diseases. So this is the panacea for a happy marriage. That is uh, to be able to give, uh, the husband's able to give, and the wife is able to give Krishna Prema, Krishna consciousness, which is the highest gift which can be bestowed on anyone whom we presume to love. Now, oftentimes I've seen that there are some people who become wealthy and then they think that by lavishing their wealth on others, they will achieve uh, the respect and love from others. Actually, money is not the criterion for achieving love. It can be used in the service of Krishna, but that doesn't mean the person has achieved love for Krishna just because they have money. Some people, I mean, I've associated with some devotees who are very wealthy, and they were always, uh, let's say, trying to control people by their wealth, and through their wealth to get respect and so forth. But that's not a tenuous thing. It's not something that you can uh, enjoy uh, forever. It doesn't matter whether you're rich or you're poor. If you have achieved real love of Krishna, then you have the most uh, precious gift that you can offer to others. And they will realize it. So oftentimes, rich people, they are very, let's say, uh, very careful about who they associate with because most people that try and befriend rich people is to get some money from them, right? So they know that, and that's why they try to have more of a uh, like restricted life, stay away from people because almost everyone that approaches them is because they're attracted by the money, by the person himself. And when that person loses the money, they ignore that person. So it's very similar to, a bee and honey. Uh, the bees are always attracted by honey, and the low class people are attracted uh, by sex. So uh, the real, let's say, attractiveness of a person is how much they have love for Krishna and that they're sharing it with others. Love means you're a happy person and you're happily sharing it, your happiness with others, and therefore there's a lot of uh, reciprocation, reciprocal uh, love and devotion in life. So when you're in a loving family, loving devotees, it doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor, you're happy because you achieve love for Krishna and the association of others who have love for Krishna. Then you have a really uh, complete life. So many people go through life without having that type of love for Krishna, and therefore they're missing something. They know they're missing something, but they're not quite sure how they can, uh, you know, get that thing. Uh, so therefore, they just remain frustrated all throughout life. Uh, so great saintly persons, they've achieved the real goal of life, that is love of Krishna. And other people may see it, but they're not willing to give up things to achieve it. Why do you have to give something up to achieve it? Because material things are usually obstructions to developing Krishna consciousness. If a person thinks, well, first I'll get rich and then I'll get Krishna consciousness. people think, if I get rich first, then I can, help the devotees do this and do that. But that's a bad, let's say, strategy. The best strategy is to become Krishna conscious. Then you can help others. And it doesn't matter whether they have money or not. You can help people in being by being poor, by offering nice prasadam and serving with dedication and being free of material desires, only desiring goodwill for everyone. So therefore, Prabhupada would always sign his letters, your ever well wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And he meant it. He really meant it. He was a well wisher of everyone. And even some devotees who fell down and abandoned Prabhupada, or actually uh, became, like enemies of Prabhupada, you know. But Prabhupada always forgave them and was never, let's say, vengeful because his heart was pure, right? Pure love of Krishna. So he wasn't, I mean, it was disturbing when some of his devotees left, and they did, even in Prabhupada's presence. They were initiated by Prabhupada, they were serving Prabhupada, and then they turned against him. It's terrible. But Prabhupada always forgave those devotees. He never rejected them. And this is what, melted the hearts of the devotees when they saw how merciful Prabhupada was, you know, and how he had to tolerate so many things to maintain the Krishna consciousness. Some devotees at one time sequestered Prabhupada. They kept him like in jail, you know, in a room. They wouldn't let the regular devotees see Prabhupada, and they said all kinds of crazy things, like Prabhupada now is not pleased with the devotees. He doesn't want to see anyone. But actually, the truth was that they were putting him in like a prison and stopping the devotees from seeing him. This happened, and so a long time ago, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was in Paris, and he was helping us. We were all new devotees at that time, and he got a telegram. There was no, internet at that time. He got a telegram from Los Angeles saying that he must immediately go, and Prabhupada wanted him to come immediately. So he told me, "Okay, you're going to be the president of the temple now." I said, "What?" So I'm only been in the movement like 2 weeks. How can I be president of the temple? He said, "No, I know who you are. You can do it. So you're president. You just go out on Sankirtan every day, and everything will be all right." And I'm leaving. I said, "How can you leave? I mean, we don't know anything." He said, "No, you'll understand everything. Just go out on Sankirtan every day. I have to leave." I said, "Well, why are you leaving?" He said, "No, I can't tell you. It's too heavy. I can't tell you. Maybe later sometime in life I'll be able to explain this to you." And he left. Why? Because he was called by Prabhupada. Why did Prabhupada call him? Because he trusted him. And Prabhupada was put in sort of uh, jail in Los Angeles by some devotees who were trying to take over the movement. And they were saying all kinds of, crazy things. Oh, Prabhupada's not interested anymore in spreading Krishna consciousness, and they were saying crazy things to the other devotees, and not letting Prabhupada, not letting the devotees, uh, although Prabhupada was present, not letting the devotees meet Prabhupada or even talk to him. So Prabhupada connected to Tamal Krishna, who was in Paris, and he told him immediately come here. And Tamal Krishna immediately left and went, on the other side of the world from Paris to Los Angeles, and took Prabhupada away from Los Angeles and took him back to India. So that was a tough time in Krishna consciousness, and Prabhupada really appreciated Tamal Krishna Maharaj because he was someone that he could trust. You know. Now, were there some devotees that were trying to, sequester Prabhupada and not let the devotees see Prabhupada and so forth? Well, they wanted to take over the movement. And they were preaching that Prabhupada was, did not want to see anybody. They were saying all kinds of crazy things. And it was very bewildering for the devotees. But Prabhupada sent a telegram to Tamal Krishna to come immediately to Los Angeles and take him, back to India. And he left immediately and went and, more or less, you know, took Prabhupada to back to India. And then little by little, all those people that were, trying to manipulate things and saying all kinds of crazy things, they either left the movement or they repented for all their nonsense. Right? And then the movement kept going. It looked at it like something serious was going to happen, like a major breakdown. But eventually it didn't happen because at least Prabhupada had one devotee that he could trust, and that was Tamal Krishna Maharaj. And then so everything continued. So that's an example to follow in life. If there's one person in Krishna consciousness that you can trust, then you won't leave the movement. If there's no person that you can trust in Krishna consciousness, then you're going to leave. So you have to have faith at least in one person, and hopefully many persons. But even if there's nobody but one person, you'll still stay. So that person that we should have complete faith in is Srila Prabhupada. If we have complete faith in Srila Prabhupada, we'll never leave the movement. Now, I was initiated without seeing Srila Prabhupada. I first saw Srila Prabhupada about a year and a half, 2 years after I was initiated. I just heard about him, and I could see that the devotees were really dedicated to him. And so through the devotees, I became convinced that Prabhupada is a pure devotee, and then I should surrender myself to him. But I didn't see him for another, let's say, year and a half. When I did see him, I realized, oh, I did make the right decision to completely engage in devotional service. But it was difficult because I had to give up everything that I was doing. But everything I was doing was basically nonsense. Right? So, what kept me in Krishna consciousness was Mahaprasada. Every day I was thinking, oh, I'll leave today. But if after I ate the morning breakfast prasadam, I decided not to leave. I said, well, I'll wait till tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes, then I had prasadam again, and I didn't leave. I said, okay, next day I'll leave. So as long as I was getting Mahaprasadam, I stayed in the movement. And probably it's the same reason why I'm still around, because I'm getting Mahaprasadam. Okay.
No, you are distributing Maharaj, you are bringing everyone.
Well, we want more people to get hooked on Mahaprasadam.
Uttak is a very big example. Distributing the free.
Well, that's why I stayed, so we should use the same strategy for others, just keeping them full of prasadam.
Yes. Yeah, Maharaj, the line of he was freely distributing to everyone love of God.
Yeah.
Uttak is also distributing, going there.
Well, yeah, um, that's what we should do. We should distribute the love of God to everyone. Krishna Prema. That's what our purpose in life should be. It's a nice thing to do. He willingly gave love of God, and he recommended that she accept it and enjoy it because he had already achieved it. Well, this is the greatest gift a husband can give the wife. Sometimes people say, well, you can please your wife by giving her nice clothing and nice jewelry and taking her on vacations and things like that. Yeah, that might be okay for a little while, but it doesn't really achieve the goal. The strongest thing in the world is love. And if it's love for Krishna, then it is the most, let's say, uh, most precious thing. And for to give someone else love of Krishna, you don't have to be rich, you don't have to be powerful, you don't have to be famous. You just have to be sincere devotee of Krishna. And then when you give that love of Krishna to others, they also uh, become very, very dedicated to practicing Krishna consciousness. And that's like the greatest satisfaction a preacher can have when they see that the people that they're talking to and preaching to, they also become devotees. And then the devotee that's helped them, he or she becomes very satisfied. If you can even make one person a devotee, you're guaranteed going back to Godhead. Just like Prabhupada, the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had a lot of devotees. It's 10,000 devotees. Prabhupada only had about uh, just about 5,000 devotees.
These are initiated.
Yeah.
So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had 10,000 initiatives.
Who? What?
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
10,000. Yeah. Yeah. So, however, if you, the whole idea is not to have, not to make, let's say, devotees in order to have a lot of devotees. It's to train devotees, and it's like you become their father uh, or their mother, and uh, uh, and now you don't have like one or two or three children. You have like hundreds. You know, it can be hundred or it can be thousands sometimes. Now, uh, how can you serve thousands of devotees or hundreds of devotees? Well, it's like being completely surrendered to Krishna and putting all your time and energy in encouraging devotees to be Krishna conscious. Right? What are devotees seeking? Oh, they're seeking to have a loving group that support them every day in Krishna consciousness by hearing good things about Krishna, having nice prasadam, Krishna prasadam, and having nice services that they can render for the Lord, and having good association of good devotees. Then you never want to leave because you have an ideal situation. People are seeking ideal situations like that, where they're in the company of good people who are always uplifting them and are not, mean or use harsh language. Uh, it's like spiritual world when everyone is acting nicely and everybody has the same goal. So if you please Krishna, I'm happy. If I please Krishna, you're happy because we both have the same goal to please Krishna. And then there's compatibility in Krishna consciousness like that. It's not that I'm jealous because you please Krishna or you're jealous because I please Krishna. That doesn't work. So we should always be happy at the success of devotees who are pleasing Krishna and not be envious of them. Okay, um, so Devahuti, as the wife of Kardamamuni, achieved an invaluable gift from her husband because she was very faithful to him. For a woman, the first principle of religion is to be faithful to her husband. If, fortunately, the husband is a great personality, then the combination is perfect, and the lives of both the wife and the husband are at once fulfilled. So, uh, the invaluable gift. Uh, as the wife of Kardamamuni, Devahuti achieved an invaluable gift from her husband because she was very faithful to him. For a woman, the first principle of religion is to be faithful to her husband. If fortunately the husband is a great personality, then the combination is perfect, and the lives of both the wife and the husband are at once fulfilled. Well, does this sound like something that's impossible to achieve? It might be for some people, but it's not difficult to achieve because uh, you don't have to lavish, your wife or your husband with material things. That doesn't make them love you. What you have to lavish people with is Krishna consciousness. Then they have an eternal asset, a present, a physical present. It might show, that someone loves you, but everything that you get in terms of material gifts will eventually disappear. But when you give someone or help them develop love of Krishna, that's an eternal asset that they'll never let go of. And they'll always be reconnaissant that you did that. So if you can help even one person to become Krishna conscious, that person will never forget the service that you rendered them. And they will always be reconnaissant and respectful because you helped them to become Krishna conscious. So that's what we should do. It's like, some people have children, but when you become Krishna conscious and you help others to become Krishna conscious, it's like having children, right? Because they are very respectful. They never forget who helped them become Krishna conscious. So that's very important to be always helping others become Krishna conscious. Then you become very satisfied by being a devotee. When you see how other people become devotees because you've been preaching to them and helping them, you become very satisfied. Uh, and it's like having a child and seeing the child is successful in life. So when you see people that just come, don't know anything, and you help them to become a devotee, then you become very satisfied in your heart. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be famous. Even if you make only one devotee in this life, that is the greatest achievement that you can have. So out of the 10,000 disciples that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had, one, Srila Prabhupada became, let's say, very endearing to his guru because he was able to spread the movement all over the world. Now, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave the same instruction to many of his disciples to go and spread Krishna consciousness in the English-speaking world. Prabhupada was not the only one that had that, received that instruction from Bhaktisiddhanta. But he's the only one that actually did it. Others tried, but they were not able to, do it. They tried. There was one, Bon Maharaj. He was funded by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur for, I think, 4 years to preach in the Western world and establish Krishna consciousness. And after 4 years and being funded every month by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he came back and basically he said, "Well, your program doesn't work," which was very insulting. Um, Although Bon Maharaj himself was a very, he was like one of the most advanced devotees of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But for some reason or other, although he did go to the West and he tried for 4 years, he met some important people and preached and so forth. Uh, but he wasn't able to make a significant, let's say, impression on the Western world. Why? Because he was attracted by the West. He had an attraction to it. He himself was a really first class person. He was really educated, highly educated, and he looked like a stately person. And he did preach to, very important people. At that time, the British were in, like, we were in charge of India, and he met many, high level British people who respected him because he also looked like a very high class person. But he was not able to spread Krishna consciousness. Well, I mean, he was preaching, he had some devotees, but he was not able to do it what Prabhupada did. Why? Well, let's look at what Prabhupada did. He started to preach in the Bowery, the lowest, uh, let's say, place in the United States, where they were all at that time a lot of crazy druggies living in the Lower East Side uh, of uh, of the United States, of New York. The Bowery is like the lowest place. He had drunkards and all, people shooting shooting heroin and things like that. And yeah, in the beginning, Prabhupada stayed with one person who took LSD and then tried to kill Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, had to run away. And there was one person that he knew that wasn't his disciple yet, but he knew him because he came to some of his lectures, and that was Mukunda Maharaj. And he, in the middle of the night, ran away from the person he was staying with who tried to kill him, tried to knife him. Somehow or other, Prabhupada got away without getting knifed. And he knew where Mukunda was living. He went there and knocked on his door middle of that night. And he and his wife were in bed. And when they heard someone knocking at the door, the wife said, I'll go see who it is. So she gets up and goes, and she opens the door and she sees Prabhupada. And he explains, I don't have anywhere to stay. She said, well, you can't stay here. And she closed the door. And she went back and got into bed. And Mukunda, her husband, said, well, who's that? She said, oh, it's that old son. It's that old, uh, uh, what do they call him? Not Guru Dev. Swami. It's the old Swami. He says, the old Swami. She said, why don't you let him in? He said, well, we don't want him to be here tonight. We're together tonight. And he got out of bed, ran to the door, opened the door to look for Prabhupada. Prabhupada was still there. He didn't have anywhere else to go, right? And Mukunda invited him in. Prabhupada explained a little bit what was going on. He said, okay, you stay here tonight, Prabhupada. My wife and I will go somewhere else and we'll come back tomorrow morning. And you can see how difficult it was for Prabhupada to start. He had to go through a lot of misery. And for at least a year and a half, he didn't have any success at all. But he didn't give up. And eventually, things got moving. And then he established this gigantic movement because he didn't give up. That's the main thing. You have to have faith in Krishna. Even here, uh, I was preaching like, almost 10 years without any success. You know, I mean, we were doing, I mean, there were a few devotees and we're doing everything we're having, but everything was very low key and there were not many people interested in Krishna consciousness. And my wife kept telling me, let's go back to, uh, you know, to Paris, nobody's going to get to become Krishna conscious here, blah, blah, blah. No, let's go back to the United States. We were in Paris. I said, well, we should stay a little bit longer. I said, no, nobody's interested. But we did stay longer, and all of a sudden, we started making a lot of devotees. But it took, it took some time. They were not, didn't happen overnight, you know. So, you have to be really determined to spread Krishna consciousness, and then Krishna will help. And it's not a question of success. Real success is not giving up in Krishna consciousness, always staying faithful to Prabhupada and understanding, even Prabhupada was not successful for a year or two when he started preaching in the United States, but he didn't give up. And because of that, he eventually built this gigantic movement all over the world. So we should always be inspired by that example of Prabhupada, not to give up. And eventually you'll see Krishna will help you and you'll be able to do wonderful things in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so we will stop right there. Any questions, comments? Okay, so the takeaway today, love of God is not an ordinary commodity. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was worshipped by Rupa Goswami because he distributed love of God, Krishna Prema, to everyone. Rupa Goswami praised him as Mahavadanya, a greatly munificent, or meaning merciful, personality, because he was freely distributing to everyone love of God, which is achieved by wise men only after many, many births. Krishna Prema, Krishna consciousness, is the highest gift which can be bestowed on anyone whom we presume to love. Okay, so we should meditate on that all day today. The highest gift. The highest gift which can be bestowed on anyone who we presume to love. Ila Prabhupada ki Haribol. You can imagine, when Prabhupada, in those early days, when a few, uh, few devotees met him and became attached to him. Here you have a pure devotee that you can talk to every day and associate with every day. It was just, magical for the devotees, the first devotees. Even though they had that access to Prabhupada, there were still devotees that left, which was surprising. That's why Prabhupada said, I'm not surprised by those who leave. I'm surprised by the ones that stay. Haribol. All glory to Prabhupada.
Very wonderful purport.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Haribol.
Any questions online? This was one of this line.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive that in the first paragraph, end of the paragraph, she served her husband, who was a great devotee and saintly person, with great sincerity, love, affection, and service. And Kardama Muni was satisfied.
Yeah, I didn't say, with many gifts, rings and vacations and just sincerity, love, affection, and service. That's it. Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. Now we know what the real secret is. Actually, we should celebrate today. We learned something very important. That it's not money and fame and all those things that that are really attractive. The main thing is to give love of God. And it says that he willingly gave love of God and he recommended that she accept it and enjoy it because he had already achieved it. So that's the greatest gift we can give someone, but we have to first achieve it ourselves. Then we can give it to someone else. Haribol.
Great.